Jess here, and welcome to my channel. As you can see by my setup, it's time to play Phase 10 Chooses My TBR. So we're officially headed into April, and I have some brilliant news. I'm doing exactly 0 readathons. I don't know how I managed this. I've seen none so far, and unless something changes in the last couple days of the month, that is going to stay that way. So I have a pretty open slate for what I can and cannot read in the month of April, which is very exciting after March was the month of all of the readathons. I am doing Buzzwordathon, and the prompt for this month, I believe, was nature, so April. And I'm going to read Deep Sea Disaster by Davy Ocean because sea is part of nature. I don't know much about this, but it looks like a really cute younger middle grade, and I wanted to give it a shout because I have the little ones in my life approaching that age, so I thought I would see if this was interesting. And then if it was, I could pass it on to one of them or recommend it to one of them if it's so interesting I decided to keep it. So this is going to be my Buzzwordathon pick. Then for my nonfiction, and it's really weird to be getting to this already in the video because I have nothing else to mention, I'm going to be going with The Closer by Mariana Rivera. With April being baseball season, I figured this was the perfect time to read the autobiography of one of the best closers in the history of baseball. I am very excited to hear about his story and learn more about him. I have bounced around in my love of baseball with teams I was drawn to, and I was really into the player Derek Jeter when he was on the Yankees with Mariana Rivera. So I know how good Mo is as a pitcher, so I'm very interested to hear his story. Although at the end of the day, I'm a Cubs fan. Go Cubs! So this is going to be my nonfiction for the month. Which brings me to my TBR jar of doom. This will always make me nervous because there's some chunky books in there. But I can literally see books that are currently in my piles that I'm going to try to draw from that are also in here because I've been working on my series. So it is possible to get books that are already on my TBR, though, with the amount of series in here. Who knows? So let's see what this has in store for me. It is completely up to date as of the 27th. I actually updated it on sprints last night. Yes, I'm doing sprints now. I have finally replaced my computer, so you might want to check out my Discord, which will be linked in the description below, because when I go live, I put notifications in my Discord. So, the first one is going to be this yellow one. The second one, we'll dig down here. Oh, there they all go. Is a blue one. We'll go this side. This one here is calling me green. I will say, I got a Billy bookcase, which I put together on sprints and kind of redid my shelves in my room. And fun fact, I found a one of these on the bookcase that this sits on. No idea how long it had been sitting there. Luckily, it wasn't one that needed to go back in my bucket, but I did find a random scrap of paper that had fallen out of my jug while I was rearranging my room, which I thought was hilarious. Let's see what this has in store for me. Ooh, okay, this wasn't on my radar, but Beartown by Frederick Bachman. The next book in this series, and I think it might be the final because I think it might be a trilogy, is The Winners. Beartown follows this hockey town where some tragic things go on, and we see how the entire town deals with the kind of thing that happens, which I don't want to mention because the thing is a spoiler, but I enjoyed the first 2 books, so I'm down to see how things progress in the third. Plus, I love Frederick Bachman's writing. So, while this appears, according to my library, to be a 673-page book, and that's not necessarily what I wanted to read, it is not an epic fantasy, so I'll take it. The next is perfect. The First Law by Joe Abercrombie. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be getting to another book in that series this month, so... Nope. Where is... The next book I am on is Sharp Ends, so I will immediately not worry about trying to get to this in March. This is short stories in the First Law world, and I believe it is the last standalone before we go into the final 3-book trilogy. I'm very curious. I've heard that some of these are really interesting from Becca and the Books, who is the host of the First Law read-along that we're doing. She's not a big short story fan, but she has mentioned a few that are very interesting and kind of talked about them in one of her vlogs. So I'm actually kind of excited to get to this and see where these short stories fit in the greater universe. I too am not a huge short story fan, so I'm very curious to see how I end up enjoying this, and having it on my TBR makes it a little bit easier because I was planning on getting to it anyway, so that was really kind to me. And then the last one is Myrtle Hardcastle. So I actually had this on a TBR. I guess I'm reading it this month and not whatever month I had plugged that in. Let me go see if my library has it. So originally I had hoped to get to this in July. I wanted to get to it this year, and I had kind of penciled it in for July, but it looks like I'm going to be reading it in April instead. This is a mystery, middle grade, historical fiction, and we're following Myrtle, who likes to investigate all sorts of cases. I believe her mother has died, and her dad is raising her, and she has like kind of like a nanny, but given how old school it is, it's a little different than that. I don't remember the word that I'm looking for here, but both her father and this nanny woman are supportive of her curiosity and her wanting to investigate, if memory serves. I've really, really enjoyed the first 3 books, so I'm not opposed to reading the 4th book in April. I had just planned it for July, so I'm just going to read a little bit sooner, so that's totally fine. So those are going to be my 3 series. One is a middle grade that I'm totally happy with, and I believe that's the most recent book in the series, so I'm not going to put that one back in. I believe Beartown, well, 1, I think that's the most recent book in the series, but 2, I think it's a trilogy, so that one won't go back in, but the first law can, because I will have, I believe, 3 more books after this one, so it can totally come out of my jar again. So we have put hit back in. Let me grab the papers from the floor. And with that, all of the pieces of paper are off the floor. I will put the lid back on. Maybe. There we go. And this will be set for another month. Which brings me to this. It is March 27th. And I currently have What the River Knows. About an hour and a half, I think, left in that audiobook. I'm 60-ish pages into Death of the Party. I'm like 25 pages into Orphan 11, and I haven't picked up The Women. Now, that sounds like a lot of reading, but given that I've been doing sprints, I think I'm going to be able to fly through it. And with The Women, I know that with the way Kristen Hanna writes, I'm going to devour that book, so I see no reason why in the next 5 days I will not finish my TBR. So I'm going to give myself a reward. So here we have my cards. We'll give them a quick shuffle. And I'm going to go with, a green 9. We'll mix up my prompts here. We'll go with this one. So this is going to come down and this will go up. I've got lots of options for rewards right now, which is kind of cool. We'll slot this back into the pile so that it has the ability to potentially come up. I'm quite excited to see if I can get some rewards. I keep dancing around the 3s, the green 3 and the yellow 3, so it would be nice if I could get a reward to come up. And we'll slide the green 9 back into the deck and give this a quick shuffle so that it also has the possibility of coming back up. I can tell you I do not need a 3 or 7 or 9 to finish my phase. I need a 1 or an 11, so I at least have those possibilities. Although if I do finish my phase, I get to add another reward to the board, which would be quite interesting. I'm also expecting this to go very smoothly for me since I don't actually have anything I need to get to this month. So I will be completely unsurprised if after 3 months of a bunch of wilds, I finally have a month where I don't get a wild and it's the quiet one. So let's dive in. Draw number 1 is a 1. which means I have completed my phase. We're going to move the yellow 9 over here. And since I can't get a yellow 9, we'll deal with this, and then I will put a reward on the board. So yellow 9 is food or drink on the cover. That is easy. I'm going to go with Muffin, but the truth, this is the 17th book, I think, in the Bake Shop Mysteries. And as you can see, there's all sorts of food on the front of that cover. Let's see, muffins and strawberries, it looks like. A bunch of muffins and a bunch of strawberries. So this follows Jules, who ends up coming home and running a bake shop with her mom. Usually somebody dies and she has to investigate for some reason to figure out who did it, because it involves somebody she knows somehow. I, for the most part, enjoy this series, so I'm very excited to continue it. It's one of my series to continue, so sticking on my TBR is an absolutely brilliant choice, because this will be a very easy read. Okay, let's replace the yellow 9 as my prompt pile once again tips over. And let's do this again. We'll go with this one. Well, we can't go with that one. It's a green 3. How about this one? That's a skip. This is going well. Ooh, blue 9. Blue 9 we can do. Okay. I will also laugh if I end up getting a bunch of rewards this month. Okay, blue 9. And prompt back in there. I could legitimately draw 5 rewards this month. That would be something. I don't know what I would do with them all. My prompts do not want to mix back together. They're being stubborn. I do this all the time, and of course, now that I'm on camera, they don't want to mix back together. Silly, silly prompts. Okay. Let's try to get you up here in a way where you won't tip. And then we'll, once again, give the cards a shuffle so that the 3, the 9, and the skip can pop back in, because I'm not going to complain if I get a couple of skips. If you want to give me an easy month where my TBR is in zero doubt that I'm going to complete it, I will not complain at all. Like, at all. Okay. These can move out of the way, because there's no way for me to get another reward this month, so I can put those away. And we will go on to draw number 2, which is a red 6. And the prompt for red 6 is poll pick. So for poll pick, what I usually do is put up a poll somewhere. And I put 2 books on it I don't want to read right now, and 2 books I do. So for the 2 books I don't, I'm going to go with Winter in Paradise by Ellen Hildebrand. I'm not really in the mood for a book like this. It wasn't really on my radar. But I did enjoy Summer of 69, I think it was called, by her. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And then Legend by Mary Lou, because it is the start of a series and is covered in cat hair that isn't really calling to me right now. I believe it's a sci-fi. It says, once known as the western coast of the U.S., the Republic is now a nation perpetually at war with its neighbors, the colonies. So, yeah, this is maybe a dystopian. So it's not really one that was on my radar right now. And I've been trying very hard not to start as many series as I'm getting through. So those would be my 2 options, because this is also the start of a series of books I don't want to read right now. And for books I do, I have the World Famous 9, which is one of my 5-star predictions. And Counting by Sevens, which is another 5-star prediction. So since I want to get to these anyways, I figured these would be good shouts for books that I do want to read. I will link my 5-star prediction video up in the cards if you want to check it out and see what these are about and why I chose them. And I will put a poll up somewhere. And I will pop the winner up here. So this is the book I'm going to be reading for poll pick. Draw number 3 is a green 2. And the prompt for green 2 is trying to rip. Is mom pick. Jeez Louise. Okay, so for books I do want to read, I'm going to go with Orphan Train, which is another one of my 5-star predictions, and My Diary from the Edge of the World, because a friend asked me to read this as they read it, and they had some thoughts about it and wanted somebody to discuss it with. And so I said I would stick it on my April TBR since I did own it. I don't really know much more about it, but I believe they said it deals with grief. So curious to see what I think of it. And then for books I don't want to read, I went with Meet Cute, which is a romance that I've had on my TBR for a long time. And The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary. Now, I really, really like Beth O'Leary, but I don't really feel like reading a romance, so I purposely picked 2 romances, and we'll see which one my mom ends up picking. And the option she chose for me is here. It's really weird to not know what several of the books on my TBR are when we're only on book 3. So we'll replace that with this. And, whoops, draw number 4 is an 11. So there's no way I wasn't finishing my TBR this month. Well, my TBR, my phase this month. Red 11. You have got to be kidding me. I got dad pick. You have to be kidding me. Never in it. Is friend pick gonna come up too and just take all of the choice out of my hands? So in the next round of 2 books I want to read and 2 books I don't, I'm going to go with the Vanderbeekers on the Road. This is a series to continue. This is book 6, which means I have this book and 1 book left. I love the Vanderbeekers. I'm choosing this because my dad likes family vibes, so he might choose this one. And then the Magic Misfits, The Force Suit, which is the last book in this series, and my dad is somebody that helped foster my love for magic as a adolescent, so I thought he might be drawn to this one. And then he really loves history, so I went with The Bonanza King, which is a nonfiction, and it's about, apparently, John McKay and the battle over the greatest riches in the American West, which would definitely not be something I want to read, because it's like a 400-page nonfiction, but he might choose this. And then I went with a proper historical fiction, which is The Magnolia Palace, which is set during the, set after the Spanish flu outbreak in 1919. So we'll see which one he picks of these. And the answer is this one. How are we doing? Am I doing all right? Are they picking books that I actually want to read? Yes? No? Sort of? Okay, so we're going to replace that with this. And we're going to go to draw number 5, which is a blue 6. And blue 6 is what? Friend pick? Another BookTuber's TBR. Okay. I don't think I've seen a TBR video yet. So, I'm going to have to put this in during the edit. I don't know what anybody is reading this month. And of course, I'm not participating in any book clubs or readathons. Well, I am, but I'm behind. So I don't know what books are on everybody's TBR because I'm a little bit off. So the book I'm going to be reading for another BookTuber's TBR is here. And I'll pop the name of the channel up on the screen, and it will be linked in the description below if you'd like to go check their channel out. But this is what I'm going to be reading. This is, wow. I don't think I've ever had a TBR that was so out of my hands before. Okay, we'll replace that with this, and draw number 6 is a blue 10. Oh. Rick Riordan Presents. So for Rick Riordan Presents, I checked. I don't think I'm in the middle of any of the series, so I have decided to go with Race to the Sun. This is by Rebecca Roanhorse, and it says, lately 7th grader Nizhoni Begay has been able to detect monsters, like that man in the fancy suit who's in the bleachers at her basketball game. Turns out he's Mr. Charles, her dad's new boss at the oil and gas company, and he's alarmingly interested in Nizhoni and her brother Mac, their Navajo heritage, and the legend of the hero twins. Nizhoni knows he's a threat, but her father won't believe her. When Dad disappears the next day, leaving behind a message that says run, the siblings and Nizhoni's best friend, Davery, are thrust into a rescue mission that can only be accomplished with the help of the Dinny Holy people, all disguised as quirky characters. Their aid will come at a price. The kids must pass a series of trials in which it seems like nature itself is out to kill them. If Nizhoni, Mac, and Davery can reach the House of the Sun, they will be outfitted with what they need to defeat the ancient monsters Mr. Charles has unleashed. But it will take more than weapons for Nizhoni to become the hero she was destined to be. So, they all sounded really, really interesting, but this one kind of popped out at me, so this is what I will be reading for Rick Riordan Presents. And we're on to draw number 7, which is a blue 2. The prompt for blue 2, oh, nice, sequel, nice. And because I'm trying to be nice to myself because I have no idea what 1, 2, 3, 4 of my books are, I'm going to go with, Cat and Gamer Volume 4. This is a manga, and it follows a woman who really loves video games, ends up adopting a cat, but knows nothing about cats, and applies gamer logic to raising a cat. I've really, really loved this series, so I'm going to give myself an easy one since I have no idea what else is on my TBR. We'll replace that with this. Draw number 8 is a yellow 3. It's a yellow 3! Y'all, that's a prize! That's a reward! Yellow 3. What is it? Oh, it's ripping. Hang on. Combine 2 prompts. So far, we're going to go through the rest of the game. We're going to stick this up here. And I'm going to get to the end, and I will let you know at the end if I want to combine any of these to reduce one book. Because at the moment, I can't really reduce the number of books because 4 of them are out of my hands. And the only one I could do is Food on the Cover, but I don't know if I want to use that yet. So let's see how the rest of the game plays out. Draw number 9 is a red 5. And the prompt for red 5 is longest book on my TBR. So the way I do this is not my actual physical TBR because I don't even know. Like, I would have to go through all of my books. I don't have an easy way to look that up. I know a few that could be, but I could be wrong. So what I'm going to do is I usually do my tentative TBR, like the books I would like to get to in the next month. And the longest book on that is The Winners. It's 673 pages according to my library. So that is going to be the longest book on my TBR. It is easily the longest book by far, if that is accurate. So that is going to be my book for longest book of my TBR. And for what I hope is my final draw number 10. Oh, you had me. You had me again. This is like, what, the second time this year it's done it where draw number 10 was a wild? Oh, you had me. Draw number 10 part 2 is at 8. And this is why I hung on to my combined 2 prompts reward, because I'm probably going to end up using it. Yellow 8. Light cover. For this, I'm going to go with Curiosity Killed the Cat Sitter. This is the first in a cozy mystery series. I own book 4, so I thought I would try book 1 to see if I wanted to keep book 4. This is a very light pink color, so I think it counts as a light cover. It says that we're following Dixie, who was a deputy with the sheriff's department, and then a tragic accident happened, and now she's a pet sitter. And I'm guessing that she's going to find a dead body. A man brazenly drowned in a cat's water bowl. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. But it is the start of a cozy mystery series. And another thing I'm trying to do is start to make strategic choices about series where I have, like, say, the 4th book, in this instance, on my TBR, physically, and starting them dispersed through the year. So this is one of the ones I'd hope to get to in April. So we'll stick it on my TBR for light cover. And now we get to do my favoriteest thing in the whole entire world, which is roll this die to determine how many extra prompts I have to pull. And it's almost always high, because why wouldn't it be? And it, of course, continues the trend of giving me a big fat 6. Again, that combined 2 prompts may come in very, very handy. So wild 1, draw 1 is another yellow 8, which means this prompt was destined to come right back down off the board. Yellow 8. Published in your birth month. I like this prompt, but it is so hard to find. So this took absolute ages. But what I'm going to go with is Wayward by Amelia Hart. I can tell you pretty much nothing about this. It says, weaving together the stories of 3 extraordinary women across 5 centuries. Wayward is an astonishing debut and an enthralling novel of female resilience. So I remember this sounded interesting to me because I actually purchased a Book of the Month book. And it said, according to Goodreads, that it was published in February of 2023. So while this appears to be a March pick, Goodreads said it came out in February, so I'm going to count it. I, again, don't know much more about it than that. I think the cover is cool, and I've been really curious about it because every time I think about it, I kind of want to pick it up. So we'll go with this for published in my birth month. I really thought it was going to be kind to me this month, given everything, but apparently not. Wild 1, draw 2 is a blue 9. Is a blue 9! It's a reward! Replace with Mood Read. And this comes from Amanda Lynn and Naomi's Bookshelf. Okay, so I can hang on to this. And I will tell you, in May's TBR, what I use this with. Because it still has to fit the prompt, which could be tricky. But I will get to replace one of these books with a mood read. Which means I could end up changing, like, mom pick or dad pick or another booktuber's TBR. So, yeah, this is a very, very nice reward. I'm really enjoying these rewards, guys. This is nice. Okay, Wild 2. Draw 2, because I have to redo it, because I would be replacing one of these, so I still have to, yeah. Yeah, I have to do Wild 1, Draw 2 again, because I didn't actually pull a book for it. And that's replacing one of the prompts I've already drawn. Okay. Blue 8. Blue 8 is, multiple people on the cover. So what I'm going to choose for this is The Nameless Witch by Natalie C. Parker. This came out of my series to continue jar, I want to say in like January, and I had to wait to get it from the library, and I do finally have it now, so I kind of want to read it. This follows Riley and some people she knows who are supposed to be able to turn into werewolves, and I think it happens around their 12th birthday, and it doesn't for them, and they have to kind of figure out why. I remember really enjoying the first book, so we'll see how the second one goes, and there are 5 people, plus this, whoever this is on the cover, so there's 6 people on the cover, so this definitely has multiple people on the cover. So this is actually Wild 1, Draw 3, which is a red 4. Oh, red 4. Audio or ebook, Ghosts in the Graveyards. This is like a 27-page ebook by Sue Ann Jafarian, which is one of the 2 Granny Apples books I don't have left. So I'm going to put a 27-page book on my TBR because, well, Wild 1, draw 4. Ho! Ho! Skip. We're running out of room here. That's okay. Wild 1, draw 5. This extra card is confusing me. It's a blue 12. Low expectations. Okay, that ended up being easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to go with Twilight of the Elves, which is the second book in the Adventurers Guild series. I don't remember much about the first book. I'm going to have to, like, look up what the first book is about and maybe see, like, the vlog where I talk about it. But I remember not loving book 1. Like, liking it enough that I put it in my TBR jar, but not loving it. So I would be going into this one with low expectations of not loving it. So I think this is a good shout, and it continues the series. And if I decide to DNF the series, I have book 1 on my shelves over there because I read it and kept it, and I have book 3 on my TBR. So this would be a good way to see if I do really want to continue this series, and I don't have a lot of high hopes for this one. So this will be low expectations. And then Wild 1, draw 6 is a 10. Okay, we're done. Whew, we're done. Bye-bye. We're done. Yellow 10. Yellow 10 is a mythology book. So, I was thinking about it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine Rick Riordan Presents with mythology, and I'm going to read Race to the Sun. So I can use my combined 2 prompts to make this work. So Race to the Sun will count for Rick Riordan Presents and mythology, which means I am officially done, and I still have no idea what exactly is on my TBR. Hey everyone, Editing Chris here, and I just realized when I pulled the combine 2 prompts prompt, I never replaced it with a book, which I was supposed to do because it doesn't just give me a freebie. So here I go, I'm going to do that. It's a blue 5. The prompt for blue 5 is ripping, is pretty cover. So I need to pick a book with a pretty cover. I know what I'm going to do. Hang on. So for pretty cover, I'm going to read The Mysteries of the Universe. I think this is a pretty cover. It's, I believe, a middle grade book about, well, the mysteries of the universe and space. I wanted to check it out. So this is going to be my book for pretty cover. Sorry that I forgot to do that during the video. So yeah, I have 4 books who I don't know what exactly I'm reading, which is just lovely and grand. And yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting month. Wish me luck. I am going to need it. I also have my mood read that I can use at some point throughout the month if a book is really, really, really not working for me and I want to replace it with a mood read. Otherwise, I will have this for next month because I think I should be able to hold on to my rewards if I don't use them. Can't do it with punishments, but I can do it with my rewards. So there you have it. That is my TBR for April. Once again, this game is determined to make my life harder. But what can you do? Hopefully you enjoyed the ride. But it is time to wrap this video up now that I'm done because I have a mess to clean up and books to figure out that I'm going to read because I have to go present options to people. So all of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me some kind of lucky emojis, fingers crossed, clovers, stuff like that, because I'm going to need some luck with not knowing what I'm reading. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!